Out of order.
Hello. Hey, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Get your stuff all sorted and we'll kick this off. And while everyone's out there, if you're watching and you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do get subscribed. We'd really appreciate it. You come and participate in the live streams. And that is step one. Step two is to press the get notified when we go live, because even though we typically have a time, we don't always have a time. So right now is the time, Brian. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Is it time?
Yeah, this week it is. Yes.
Awesome. All right, well, let's kick it off. Now that I know what date it is. Hello and welcome to Python Bytes, where we deliver news and headlines directly to your earbuds. This is episode 454, recorded October 20th, 2025. I'm Michael Kennedy.
And I'm Brian Ocken.
And this episode is brought to you by us. We have increasingly more monotonically increasing number of ways in which you can support us, and things that Brian and I both feel like contribute a lot of value, right? Your PyTest book, your PyTest courses, all the courses over at Talk Python, foreshadowing, some of that's coming later as well. The Patreon supporters, like a lot of, pretty much all of these things, we create them not just so that we have a job, but also because we think the world needs them. So we appreciate when you all agree with that and support them. You want to connect with us, connect on social media or on most of the social medias. The link's at the top of the show notes. Join us live right now, Monday, just after 10 o'clock. Typically is when we start live streaming, although sometimes it varies. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and get notified there to make sure you get all the notifications. But typically we aim for Monday at 10 until further notice, at least. And finally, subscribe to the newsletter. We're putting a lot of effort into sharing a really nice, rich, extra bits of information out to the newsletter there every week. So appreciate that going out. And I think we put a lot of work into this, Brian. I mean, a lot. So I'm ready for a rest. Take a little rest. How about you?
Yeah, we should take a rest. Maybe with a rest framework.
Oh, because sometimes you need a whole framework to rest. You're that tired.
Yeah, so let's pop this up. So we've got an article. This is sort of going backwards because there's a new package out that I want to talk about, but it's based on this article from Emma Levitt. Why in 2025 do you still need a third-party app to write a REST API with Django? So and third-party apps we're talking about is usually Django REST framework. Or Django Ninja. Increasingly more people are reaching for Django Ninja. But both are great choices. And but still, like, why do we have to have an extra REST framework if you already have Django? And basically the gist of this article is no, you can create and with all the built-ins, and this is using the class-based views to build a CRUD app, a CRUD API with Django. And I actually kind of love this. There's comments at the end. Also, kind of love the article talking about doing everything that's necessary to. It's not that much. It's just not that much code to create a JSON REST API through Django without anything extra. And one of the down in the comments, some of the folks are like, well, why would you do this if you already have these others? And of course, it's that you can. You also that you can, but also that when you understand how you could build it with just tools here, then it helps you understand how to use the other tools like Django Ninja. So the reason why I'm bringing this up now, this I think this article was from like March, April, or something like that. But she went ahead and DJ REST 2 is now available, and that is if you scroll down to the bottom of it, it is her is designed to be a minimal yet powerful REST framework, but it's around this article of why do we need an external app for REST, which is kind of funny that she created an external app for REST to demonstrate that. but it's the code, all the code from there, and just it's really great to be able to like learn about REST frameworks through trying something smaller scale. So I like it.
Awesome. Yeah,
Also,
I'm with her
interest.
on this. Like, you don't necessarily need a framework. I know there's great frameworks, like there's Fast API and others, and no shade on those things. But if you already have a web app, you already have a framework that is serving web stuff. And do you really want to say, well, now we're going to do a completely different one because I need the response to be JSON? Not
Yeah,
necessarily, right? All the APIs that power the Talk Python mobile app are written in Pyramid. They're not using Fast API because the whole app was already Pyramid. The data, everything it needs to know about the users and the data and the course, it's all in there. And
yeah,
all I had to do was write a JSON serializer that would take a dictionary and turn it into the right kind of JSON. And literally, I have an API. A lot of these frameworks, I don't like them. I'm not knocking any particular, but these add REST to your thing so often become, what that means is an HTTP view of your database. Like, here's how you do get, post, put, and delete to rows in this table. And then, it's like, okay, that's not the way I want to structure I don't want to just give my database to like the world. I want to have control over actions that you take, like authenticate. And that's not like just access to the table, it's weird. So I don't know. I find them not to be, I know it's like, well, we absolutely have to reach for a REST thing. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
it's also very true that you don't really need a full framework if really you're the client. If I mean, I would say I would probably lean on others to create a better API or better experience if I was if that's the product, if the API is the
Yeah.
product. But if the product is your website and you've got a framework, you're using Django, you've got a database there, but you have something else that wants to access that data, you want to, and so that you're presenting some extra endpoints. If you have a couple of endpoints that you need to create to get some data out or push some data in, you don't necessarily need the full blown extra framework. I think something simple would work just fine.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, well, let's get out of the web a little bit and maybe go to the command line.
We're going to spend a lot of, I basically have a theme running through this, my picks, my topics for the day. So use Git on the command line, I'm sure, Brian.
Yeah.
A little bit of Git add, dot, Git push, all those things. I'm a big fan of using the GUI tools, especially the tools built into your IDE. PyCharm and VS Code plus derivatives. That means like 20 different things these days. They have really fantastic tools, and I rarely feel the need like I got to be in the command line to mess with it, but I still do plenty. That said, where I haven't been doing a lot of stuff in the command line is at the GitHub level.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're like, okay, I'm going to git push, git pull. Oh, there's a PR. I need to check that out. What is the command again to check out that PR? Or I want to, refer to an issue. How do I do that? Like, what was the number of it again? Because there's really cool things in Git. You can say git commit, and for the message, you can say da-da-da-da-da, fixes or resolves number 123, and that'll literally associate the commit with the issue 123 and close it when you push that to the server,
which
right?
sometimes surprises me, but yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah, I've accidentally put a issue in a PR, but then closed the PR and it's closed the issue. I'm like, no, that's actually we're not done yet. Hold on.
Look, doesn't quite resolve blah. Oh, okay, whoops.
Yeah, then then it actually closes it. You got to reopen it. Whoopsie. Anyway, so what I want to talk about today is the GitHub CLI. So I don't know how long this has been around, well, presumably, but I think it's pretty new. And so the idea is you can ask for status of PRs, or you can check out, like this one's really nice, GH PR checkout 12. That's it. That's all you got to do. And it's figured out the branches, it's pulled it, it's checked out the right one, right? That's really cool, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so to get a sense of what's possible, because when I saw this, I'm like, I think this will be cool, but why? So look at the manual, and the manual has example usages. That's how I would start to like look. So it says, I could check out a pull request locally, and it's the one that I just said. Boom, right? Pretty neat. You can do it by branch name. You can clone a repository with just the owner and repo. So you could say gh repo clone, Mike C. Kennedy / Jinja - partials or whatever. So you don't have to know the whole URL. It's not that huge of a thing, but it's kind of nice. You can also clone it as if you were doing git clone, but you like to type gh space repo instead of git. I don't know. You can create PRs from a branch, which is pretty cool. And it just asks you what's the title, what's the body, and so on. You can open up the browser, like take me to GitHub. You can mess with forks. What else can you do? Yeah, you can see issues like GitHub PR list, and it'll show you whether they're open, who they're associated with. Same thing for issues. And it even puts the tag in parentheses, parenthetically tags it. I love it. Anyway, I think this is kind of handy. What do you think?
Yeah, you can do releases too, right? Did you already comment on that?
I've not commented on that.
Because that's often the thing that I need to, like, I've got everything all automated, except for I still go over to GitHub itself to push to create a release item or release.
Yeah, I do too.
So being able to do that locally, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I've got the generation of the release notes automated and the tagging of the branch automated, but I still can't release it automatically. You know what I mean?
But now you can at least do it on the command line.
A little bit more. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, check this out. If you're a CLI person, GH, your new command.
Yeah, so go figure that you're the command line person today, and I'm the web person. So we're gonna hop back over the web and talk about web scraping. So, and web scraping is not evil. Sometimes it's especially if there's no API, it might be the only way to get some data from something. So there's a project that I found out on Reddit. It called Can I Scrape, which is sort of a fun name. And it's basically analyzes a website's anti-bot protections to let you know whether or not you should even try to build a scraper for it or how many roadblocks you're going to run into. And also, I think it's sort of, I don't know, it seems like a kind of a nice thing to do instead of to check all the rules out and stuff. So it looks for protections like, I don't know what WAF is, but CAPTCHAs and rate limits, honeypots. And then it rates it a difficulty score from 0 to 10, easy to hard, and specific recommendations on what tools or proxies you'll need, and the estimated complexity to build it. Also, would be a decent thing to use on your own stuff if you are intending if you just tell somebody, oh, I don't have an API for that, but go scrape the data. What kind of a job are you asking them to do? And I was like, I didn't see right away a comment on the robots, but looking down through it, when it analyzes, it does check the robots.txt to make sure that you can. And that's one of the things I want to be careful of what they say you should do and not do with their website. So that's cool. And anyway, just thought it was nice. There's an interesting discussion on the. I'll link to the Reddit discussion as well. Just a target audience of hobbyists, but also just like data people. Like sometimes there's data that's available on the web that, like I said, no, there's no REST API yet for it, or there won't be. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I love it. Very interesting. This whole web scraping thing is getting more and more contentious with AI training and all of that. But yeah, it's good to be a good citizen of the web.
Yeah, and also like maybe I'd possibly use some of these to check your own. If you want to lock it down, if you really want to make, if you want to make scraping a real pain in the butt for people looking at your website, You can use this to try to make your score as close to 10 as possible. So
Exactly. All right. What? That's not what I want to talk about. That's what I want to talk about next. So I want to talk about Git, a totally different tool though. This is completely unrelated to the other one. Okay, so I launched this CLI tool that it's on PyPI, but primarily is intended to be used as a CLI type of thing, like rough, not to be built upon, but to be run. You know what I mean? So you can UV tool install it. And the idea is, I called it Giddy Up, Gitty, for updating a whole directory tree of GitHub repositories.
Ooh.
Okay. I may have talked about this before, something I kind of built like in passing. And then last week, I decided I'm creating a new course, Agentic AI Programming in Python. How about that? And I'm like, let me think of something I can try to take that I know is a cool idea that would seem plausible, but really just make it a super nice app, add a bunch of features and so on. So I took that little utility I had and I spent a lot of time with Claude Sonnet, and Giddy Up is the output. So it says, never forget to pull again. Automatically discover and update all your GitHub repositories in one command. So here's the thing. I've got 3 computers. One of them's a laptop. And they all have a bunch of GitHub repositories, like hundreds of GitHub repositories. And it drives me crazy. I'll go to some older one I haven't worked with for a while. And I'm like, I don't think there's been any change to this. And I'll start messing with it. Then I'll try to push it. It'll go, please pull your changes first. I'm like, uh-oh. Uh-oh, that's not good. Especially if it's something to do with the courses where it might be like a PowerPoint that cannot be merged. You know what I mean? You're like, oh no, this is real bad that it's out of date, right? And so I created this thing so I can just, especially before I grab my laptop and head off to the coffee shop, I can just go into like part of my GitHub repos and just say Giddy Up, and it goes through in parallel, and it just looks at all the repositories, does a git pull on all the ones that don't have anything checked out, and the ones that are like not committed yet, it says, hey, I don't want to mess with this one. It has these 3 files unchanged and so on. So it's just like a nice little utility people can run to update all their code. I'll see if I can find a little output down here. It's got a ton of features, but yeah, you say update this thing, and it traverses hierarchically through all the GitHub repositories. It says these are up to date. I actually pulled a couple commits for this one. This one had an error, and it just gives you, basically gets you all of your GitHub repositories as much in sync across all the branches as much as possible without breaking anything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I put that out there for you. I think people might like it. I just put it out there 2 days or 3 days ago, and it's already got some stars and forks, and I haven't announced it at all whatsoever, not even on social media. So people found it and started. That's cool.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. So Giddy Up.
I have a feeling that maybe people watch your repo a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like the GitHub. And to be honest, I am a super fan of just clicking on the GitHub logo and going and just looking at what's flowing by. I'm starting to follow more and more people, and I appreciate people who follow me. That's a really nice source of just, hey, what's interesting? Because if people you follow star something, that shows up. You're like, oh, this person found that interesting enough to star it, and I definitely respect what that person's doing. Let me go check this out. That does look interesting. Like I'm sure that's how people found it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I want to bring up something that I apparently spent a lot of time thinking about. So we're done with our normal stuff, right? So
we are.
Moving on to extras. Do you want to do your extras first, or
sure? I'll be quick about mine. Okay. So
yeah, let's do yours.
Let me close this off. Yeah, check out the Agentic AI programming course. It's coming out this week. But people listened, and I don't know if they actually listened to us. I think they listened to other people with the same complaint. But remember how last week on Pi Day I said, great, but UV loop doesn't work with Python 3.14? Well, I'm so happy to tell you, as of 4 days ago, UV loop is back, baby. And we can use it again, which mostly is awesome because I don't want to go change a bunch of projects that were just fine. But if I were to swap out the foundation running them like to 3.14, they wouldn't run anymore. So now it's back. So there's a release for that. So UV Loop, while it was gone from us for a little bit, it's back. And remember how I said I wish I knew who created PyPI Plus and how neat it was, because it has just these few little gotchas that I would love to like polish a bit. Well, they sent over a message that said, "Thank you so much for a feature in PyPI Plus, and I'm working on the bugs that you found." I don't know how they heard that we were, maybe they're a show listener or someone they know as a listener of the show. But yeah, look at this. I can search for something with a dash and I get the lowercase and vice versa.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But also, there's some people that maybe don't have a Python podcast to complain about things. Is there like a about us, or
let's
who
see.
are we?
There
or
is, I
anything
believe
like
I
that?
put it in. No, the best way would be a Reddit, I believe. So, Royal Wizard is the one who they initially announced it on Reddit and so on. So you could, and they seem to be talking about the changes and the features over on /r/Python. So that's probably the best way.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And then finally, I told you about my post, "Show me your LS," which looked like "Show me your is" because of the fonts. Well, people sent some feedback, and I just wanted to share one because this is a common theme over and over. Thomas Svensson said, "Hey, I'm currently using Nushell," which for some reason I read as Nutshell and went on about talking about it, that if that was the thing. But said, "Hey, I'm currently using and exploring Nushell, and its LS is something else clever." So you can just kind of do almost query syntax against things like LS, structured data, PS, JSON, etc. So like, look at this. This is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And following on, found out today that Nushell is using polars and that plugins can be written in Python. So even cooler. I'm not doing anything with Nushell. I literally had never heard of it. It's that new. No, I don't know. I hadn't heard of it before I wrote that article, but it does seem pretty interesting. I am not here necessarily to switch to it, but like, look at this. LS pipe, where size greater than 10 megabytes, pipe sorted by modified. Boom. That is, I can see that as powerful.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's it for my extras.
Yeah, I really would like to try new stuff. It's for me. I'm using Mac, Windows, Linux, all sorts of stuff, and trying to get. So to be fair, I just sort of use. Obviously, I use Z Shell on Mac because that's what it comes with. But I kind of just use the Bash version of stuff because it's common denominator over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but that's just me griping. I want to talk about something old, or new, or not yet. Lazy imports. So 2 episodes ago, we talked about PEP 810 explicit lazy imports, and I was super excited about it coming in 3.15, but it's still in draft mode, so we don't know if we'll get it. And then last week I talked about if you want to use this, if you want to use lazy imports right now, you can how you can do it just with Python, of just throwing the import in the first function before you start using it. And then, but there's some other people thinking about lazy imports and how cool they would be also. So Hugo wrote an article called 3 times faster with lazy imports. And actually, wow, this is something I don't have the capacity to do. I probably would, maybe, but anyway, of just implementing it. So there's he fetched the CPython. There's apparently a lazy import reference implementation included in the PEP. So he built Python with the patch, and then also released it as if it was 3.14 so that he could get away with not building a whole bunch of other stuff. And then went ahead and did some Hugo does the PyPI stat stuff, which I love that tool. And the pip dep tree and did some lazy import stuff on it to see if it would speed it up. And his benchmarks look very promising. So speeds it up quite a bit. I free 1.31 times faster for for one implementation, and then kept going. And let's see, I can't remember what this last one is. We no longer need inline imports trick. Anyway, a couple of different things he tested. Either way, it's faster to use it. So be excited to get that in. However, somebody else. So there's a great thread also. We'll link to it. A great thread on Mastodon, which I clicked on accidentally, to talk about between Graham and him and others about his implementation. Okay, so top imports 105, the normal imports 105 milliseconds. Inlining, which is essentially what I'm teaching people to do in my post, 46 milliseconds, so that drops it down quite a bit. Then there's the wrapped lazy import version, which I'm going to talk about in a second. That drops it down to 41. And then using 810 drops it down to 35. So there's I guess that's it. So he timed a whole bunch of stuff and talks about it in the article. Like 3x speed up is with the if we put it in 315. That's awesome. Yeah, and he's timing PyPI stats with help. So the help is supposed to be really fast and not actually do anything. So, and that's kind of a cool way to test it. Is you're running your application or your command line application, but not actually doing work. It shouldn't import the world then, right? So
yeah, even if it does a decent amount of work, it probably doesn't need all the imports.
Yeah,
right.
And if you're doing some work, you might not need other imports. Those sort of things. Those are good things to do. So, and going back again, reminding people the idea around this explicit lazy imports is to mark some imports to say, don't actually import this until the first instance of somebody trying to use it. That gets imported. Graham,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I just timed giddy up -help.
Yeah,
which I installed via UV tool install. 60 milliseconds. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? The help and the CLI arg parsing type stuff is built with argparse. So there's not a bunch of external stuff to pull in.
Yeah, I'm using argparse more and more now. Okay, so Graham was in the discussion thread, and Graham Dumpleton, and he also wrote a blog post called wow, it just came out today. Cool. Use or updated today.
Use lazy, just off the wire.
use lazy module imports now, and then this case is not the inline one. He's using the wrapped. There's a wrapped package that is it's for decorators, wrappers, and monkey patching. It's one of his packages, and can be used to kind of simulate lazy imports also. The syntax. So it's a kind of a cool article, and the syntax is different. So again, the lazy imports, if we get it in 315, it'll look like that. Lazy import JSON or lazy from JSON import something. The wrapped version is import wrapped and wrapped.lazy import. So apparently wrapped has a lazy import feature, which is cool. But the syntax is a lot different. So I'm not sure what I think about that. And then also down at the bottom, Adam Johnson reached out to him and said, type checking kind of breaks when you're using that. So
you know what? I think you might be able to actually fix it. I wonder if you could. Could you? No, probably. I was saying that you could say JSON :type is JSON, but import. But then it's not going to know what that is. Yeah, you're right. That was my thought when I saw this as like, oh, it'd be fun to play with lazy imports. I'm like, oh, but that's going to destroy type information in the editors.
Right. So that's where Adam's suggestion of saying if type checking import JSON. So just go ahead and actually import all the stuff if you're type checking, and that'll probably help the editors, I imagine. So,
well, here's looking forward to 315 because I love this idea as well, and I appreciate Hugo writing up doing all the research.
Yeah. So, and also Graham for talking about how to to get around it with wrapped. That's cool also. And a little faster than my bit. All right. I'm feeling lazy still, but how about funny? Do we got something funny?
Oh, yeah. I got something. Actually, really, really quick real-time follow-up because, I mean, we're covering stuff that came out today. and who doesn't love to hear that AWS US East 1 in Virginia went down? So right here on CNN, by the way, AWS services are recovering again after a global internet outage. Scroll down a little bit, somewhere about east. There we are. Like it seems like a third of the world is hosted in US East 1. But you know what? Our stuff is clipping along smoothly, just as it should. All right. So good luck to everyone who's running over there. So here's the thing, Brian, for the joke. Are you more of a fantasy person? Are you more of a science fiction? Or what's your genre of big epic storytelling?
Well, sci-fi usually. I'm listening to a lot of science books right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally a science fiction person. I definitely take a science, a giant like space sort of thing, interstellar type of thing over say dragons and witches. But this, I think this you might appreciate this. So Lord of the Rings, okay? There's Gandalf and there's Frodo, and it says Gandalf, they've discovered something together, and Gandalf looks over at Frodo and says, "What can you see?" It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it. And he's holding a regular expression. / caret parenthesis question mark equals %% \D. It's like it's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
Yeah, nobody can.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that is good.
I've seen the same meme, but with if _ name or dunder name equal dunder main. It's like it's some form of Elvish. I can't read it. It's great. It just doesn't make sense.
How can you not read that? But also, it seems odd that that's the way we can tell if you're running an application directly or it's getting imported.
I know it does. It works, but it's just a weird convention. I'm totally here for just the main function, static main void or the variations across so many different applications. And that's actually what I end up writing in my code is I always have a def main something or async def, whatever main. And then in the dunder name equal dunder main, I just call main. And that's just like, this is my convention. The main thing goes at the top. It's called main. That's how the app starts. But I still got to go to that little wire together deal at the end.
Yeah. It seems like we should have like a if not imported or something, because that's essentially what we're saying. But anyway, one of the things I noticed, I really enjoy sci-fi, but I realized that a lot of the sci-fi books that I love still have like talk about like in the future we'll have new technology and it's gonna suck because of XYZ. It's like there's not a lot of optimistic sci-fi.
It's a lot of dystopian, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sure, we have cool spaceships, but we've destroyed the world, so we have to use them to go find a new world to destroy.
Yeah. And we still have politics in space.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway. But no politics on this episode.
No, unless you don't feel like we're bashing Elvish writing, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks to everyone for listening. We appreciate it. Bye, y'all.